Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Whether you're joining us in person at the Tannery Event Center in Kitchener or tuning in via our live stream on LinkedIn, welcome. My name is Ian McLean, President and CEO of the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we live and work on the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples, as we seek a renewed relationship based on a foundation of mutual understanding and respect. As participants in today's event, we're coming together as one. We believe everyone is free to be their true self and receive the same respect and opportunity. We hope you'll join us in fostering a positive environment here today to ensure a safe and welcoming space for all. As with all Chamber events, today's event would not be possible without the generous support of our partners and sponsors. And so a big thank you to our title sponsor, Conestoga College Institute of Technology and Advanced Learning. Changes page. Gold sponsor, Employ Next, powered by Serco Canada. Our silver sponsor, our friends at Gore Mutual. And our bronze sponsors, EY, TD, and WSP. Our community partners, Cornerstone Association of Realtors, Explore Waterloo Region, the Future Cities founded by Kyvan, Immigration Partnership of Waterloo Region, North Guide, Schlegel Urban Developments, and Waterloo Economic Development Corporation. Our production sponsor today is our friends at Goodco Productions. Photography sponsor is Kinsella Marketing, and our host venue partners at Bingamans here are hosting Bingamans and Communitech for welcoming us to the event space at the Tannery Event Center. Please join me in thanking these incredible sponsors. I'd like to also recognize some local officials and dignitaries, community leaders who are in attendance today. Regional Chair Karen Redmond, where's Karen? She's here, she was here, there she is, no? There she is, sorry, I need glasses for just about everything. Regional Councillor Matt Rodriguez, I saw him come in. Hi, Matt. City of Waterloo Mayor Dorothy McCabe. There we are. Eric Abner, the CEO of the Waterloo Region Community Foundation. I saw him. Thank you, Eric. Chief of Police of Waterloo Region Police Service, Chief Mark Crowell. MPP for Kitchener South Hesper, Jess Dixon's with us, as is MPP from Kitchener Centre, Ashlyn Clancy. There's Ashlyn. City of Cambridge Councillor Corey Kimpson. There we are. Thank you, Corey. And my colleague, the CEO of the Guelph Chamber of Commerce, Andy Vieux. There's Andy. Doug Earle, the CEO of the Waterloo Region Health Network Foundation, was here. There he is over there. And members of our Greater KW Chamber Board of Directors, Kyle Broman, Gina Hudel, and Linda Lee, I think we're all here today. Thank you for joining us today. And a special thanks to Sheldon McCormick. He's the CEO of Communitech. There he is right in the middle. Thank you for hosting us for our roundtable and this event today. Really appreciate our partnership with Communitech and the work that we do together with the Business Economic Support Team of Waterloo Region. Thank you for being here. At this time, I'd like to call on Lydia Piccolo, Executive Director of Government and Community Relations at Conestoga College, to bring some remarks on behalf of our title sponsor. Lydia. Oh, we went the wrong way.
Oh, that's okay. I can jump. I'm good. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lydia Piccolo, the Executive Director of Government and Community Relations at Conestoga College. And it is my sincere pleasure to join you today for this next conversation in the Vision 1 Million series. As Waterloo Region grows toward 1 million people by 2050, we have an opportunity to not just manage change, but to shape it so that growth strengthens opportunity, connection, and the quality of life for everyone who calls this region home. Today's conversation is about one of the most powerful levers we have: how we move. Transportation connects homes to jobs, students to training, businesses to markets, and neighbors to services and one another. Preparing for growth means building transit and mobility systems that are reliable, integrated, and inclusive. Systems that make it easier to get to where we need to go, reduce commuting, and open new choices for housing and employment. At Conestoga, we're very focused on equipping people and organizations for that future. Through hands-on education, targeting skills training, and applied research that solves real problems in mobility and planning. And getting transportation right takes all of us, governments, businesses, educators, and community leaders like all of you, together, working in alignment with investments, policy, and talent. That's why Conestoga is so proud to be the title sponsor of Vision 1 Million, and grateful to the Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce for bringing us all together today. Let's use this morning to transform ambition into shared direction, stronger partnerships, and broader vision for what transportation can enable across our region. Thank you for being here, for your energy, and for your commitment to the future we're building together. I look forward to the conversations, and I hope you enjoy this session. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lydia, and we appreciate the partnership with Conestoga College and the great work that you do in training the workforce of the future. Today's conversation is about planning and what's next. The growth that Waterloo region is projected to reach requires smart, forward-thinking decisions. This is the third conversation in our four-part series, Vision 1 Million, Are We Ready? Event series. The important part of that is the Are We Ready? And it's about the planning that we need to do to be ready to be a successful community of 1 million people. This morning we focus on a critical pillar of our growth strategy, transit and infrastructure. Reliable public transit matters, and that includes all-day two-way go, service between Waterloo Region and Toronto, advancing phase 2 of the LRT to connect Kitchener and Cambridge, and how many people and how people can move across the region and connect beyond it. That directly impacts our economy and our quality of life. With that in mind, let's begin this morning's discussion with our two distinguished speakers. I want to thank, I'll introduce both, then Minister Sarkisian is going to come up here and make some remarks, and then we'll have a fireside chat with the three of us. But let me introduce the Honourable Prabmeet Sarkaria. He's Ontario's Minister of Transportation and the MPP for Brampton South. He was first elected in 2018 and has held key roles in the Ontario government, include President of the Treasury Board and Associate Minister of Small Business and Red Tape Reduction. Before entering politics, he practiced law as a corporate and commercial associate and holds a law degree from the University of Windsor and a BA from Wilfrid Laurier University, Go Hawks, where he majored in finance. Minister Sarkaria is an active community volunteer and lives in Brampton with his wife, 2 daughters, and a baby boy. We're also joined by Michael Lindsay. He's President and CEO of Metrolinx. Prior to joining Metrolinx, Michael was President and CEO of Infrastructure Ontario, where he worked closely with partners in both the public and private sectors. And prior to Infrastructure Ontario, Michael served as Special Advisor to the Government of Ontario on the upload of the Toronto subway system. Michael's earlier career includes leadership roles and positions at Hatch and McKinsey and Company, supporting governments and investors in infrastructure planning and delivery. He holds degrees from both Oxford and Queen's University. So we will join the Minister after he's done, but I pass the podium to the Honourable Prabmeet Sarkaria.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having me here today. Ian, it's a pleasure to finally be able to get out and come out to Kitchener-Waterloo again to speak with so many distinguished community leaders and business leaders here as well. It's a special place for me because I spend a lot of time in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, whether, as Ian said, it was during my time at Laurier. I came back here a couple of years later and noticed that the house that I once used to live in was then a 50-story residential building. So I've seen the growth, the incredible growth that this region has seen. also got a chance, after completing law school to start my law career right here in KW. So pre-politics, I spent a lot of time in this region. I've seen it grow. I've seen the incredible collaboration between all the region and all the cities, and it's been really, truly amazing to see what this city has done from the time at RIM to partners like Communitech, to the tech innovation that is happening here, and that is really, truly talked about all across not only Canada but the world. So kudos to not only Ian and his team here at the Chamber, but I know we've got many of our political leadership here as well that have truly led this region, this city, to some pretty incredible achievements. So thank you to the Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce for hosting me today, bringing us all together. And before I do start, I do want to make some acknowledgements of my colleague, MPP Jess Dixon, who's been a true fighter and champion for this region at Queen's Park since she's been elected. I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with her on some awesome projects for the region, the greater region, for this city, for this area, and we look forward to continuing to build upon those. And also in partnership with local municipal leaders as well. So Chair Redmond, who I've had the opportunity to make some fun announcements with, Mayor McCabe as well. We were just here a couple of weeks ago making some investments into local transportation infrastructure that I'm sure we're going to talk about, I'll speak about in my speech, but also we'll talk about in our panel. And I also want to acknowledge Michael Lindsay, who is leading this government's $70 billion public transportation investment, the largest in North American history, and one that will significantly change the way we commute and move around this province, but especially right here in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. Also want to acknowledge Chief of Police. Thank you for being here. We can't do what we do every single day without our communities being safe, so always appreciative of our frontline officers and the work that you do each and every single day for our communities. Like I said previously, Kitchener-Waterloo is probably one of the fastest growing regions in communities that I've seen firsthand, but something that our government acknowledges and something that in data has been shown to all of us. By 2050, we're projecting that we could have close to 1 million people calling this region home. In fact, across the greater Golden Horseshoe, the population will reach nearly 15 million. And that kind of growth means our transit services need to keep up. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, our government is meeting the challenge and building for the future. At a time when President Trump's tariffs are taking aim at our economy, we're doing everything we can to protect workers and good-paying jobs, to keep people and goods moving, and to make Ontario a more competitive place. We know that investing in public transit drives that economic growth. And that's why, as I said before, we're investing $70 billion over the next 10 years to mark the largest expansion of public transit in North American history. It also includes the largest subway expansion in Canadian history. We're also investing $30 billion to build, repair, and expand highways in every corner of Ontario, including right here in Kitchener-Waterloo. Through our GO Expansion program, we've invested nearly $14 billion to deliver faster, more frequent service across the province, and especially right here in the KW area. Last fall, we reached a major milestone on the Kitchener line. We signed a landmark deal with CN Rail to add 40 kilometers of new track along the corridor, paving the way for future two-way, all-day rapid service between Kitchener and Toronto. We also added new weekday trips between Bramley Go and Union Station, 18 new weekday trips to help people connect to jobs and housing more efficiently. GO Expansion is also supporting good-paying jobs, generating the equivalent of 8,300 jobs every year. We're getting you where you need to go faster, and we're doing that by protecting Ontario and providing good-paying jobs in this province. Just a couple of months ago, we were here in December in Kitchener-Waterloo, where we announced $96 million through the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program for local transit. That funding will help deliver everything from buses, more accessible transit, to delivering the new Kitchener Central Transit Hub. It's the Union Station, I would say, of Kitchener-Waterloo, connecting riders to GO Transit, VL Rail, Grand River Transit, Ion Light Rail, and the city buses. It would also support and protect jobs that make transit more affordable, reliable, including hybrid buses for Grand River Transit, along with refurbished bus stops and shelters, improved pedestrian crossing, and safer intersections across the region. Last year, we also delivered nearly $14 million through Ontario's gas tax program to support local transit across the region. Our government is making these investments into Kitchener-Waterloo's future. We see it as a hub of innovation and economic growth, and that's what we want to continue to build for across not only here, but across the entire province. We know that commuters need to get where they need to go quicker and faster. But transit isn't only the investments that we're making here. I know everyone in this room has, and I lived it when I was here, talks about Highway 7 between Kitchener and Guelph, the busiest two-lane highway in Ontario. And as this region grows, the corridor needs to grow with it. And that's why our government has made a commitment to twinning Highway 7. This 18-kilometer stretch will save commuters time. It will keep goods moving across the fast-growing regions of Kitchener, Waterloo, and Guelph, while also helping to take pressure off the 401. And progress is underway. We're replacing the Frederick Street Bridge to accommodate the future widening. We're ensuring traffic can flow in both directions, with shoulders and multi-use paths accessible for pedestrians and cyclists. But at the same time, we are preparing for the next phase of the highway project in the coming months, and we will be back here to mark some significant milestones on the Highway 7 project. At the same time, we are preparing for the next phase of the Highway 401 expansion in Kitchener-Waterloo. We've recently replaced the Grand River bridges and rehabilitated the King Street overpass. That work is already making a difference, cutting travel times between Kitchener and Cambridge and laying the groundwork to widen Highway 401 to 10 lanes. All of this is a part of our plan to keep goods moving smoothly through one of Ontario's most important corridors, while also creating good jobs and protecting our local economy. Our government will continue to make historic investments in highways, roads, transit to protect this province and to make Ontario more competitive and to make Ontario more productive, resilient, self-reliant self-reliant economy in all of the G7. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here today to speak with all of you. I look forward to continuing to work with many of the faces in this room, the businesses in this room, the communities in this room, as we look to see Kitchener-Waterloo as a region thrive and grow over the years to come. With that said, thank you very much, and I will turn it back over to you, Ian. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Minister, for the remarks and for making it down here. I know we tried this before. I don't know, it's been over a year because we were going to do it before the election, and then the election happened, and so I know how busy you are. So getting both you and Michael here is a great response to the importance of this region and how important or how importantly the government sees Waterloo region. So thank you for that. I would just highlight that on Highway 7, it's a miracle. It's a pre-Easter miracle because I dated back, you can look back in Chamber Board of Director minutes dating back 60 plus years that we've started, that was the first time we started talking about the importance of having Highway 7 expanded. So this government's delivering that, so congratulations on that. Listen, let's get right to it. We had a session just a few minutes ago. You heard a lot of the community issues around the importance of the new hospital as we grow and some of the other infrastructure needs here in Waterloo Region. But I want to focus on one that's near and dear, because all-day two-way go was what I often called for years the ethanol pledge, that anyone coming through Waterloo Region had to say they were in favor of all-day two-way go because it was so important to this region, connecting to the GTA for economic growth and for moving people back and forth. The GO expansion is a cornerstone of your transit strategy, not just here, but right across the province. How does two-way all-day go on the Kitchener line fit into the government's broader plan to deliver that faster, more reliable transit across the GTA and beyond?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. It's a privilege. And let me start by saying, if I can, Ian, that the benefit of two-way all-day go to this region is not just for the local residents of this region. It is 100% for agencies like mine in downtown Toronto that are building a $70 billion capital program. We need access to the innovation and the talent in this region, which is so differentiated across all of Canada. So I think it's just important to say that interest runs both ways in a very real way, given the ambition that we've got and what we're trying to build. Delighted to say that there's already been incredible increases in respective service and trips on the Kitchener line. The Minister talked a little bit about that, but just to give you some of the stats, 9.7 million trips on the Kitchener line last year. It's a 52% increase on the year before. 323% increase in volume from Kitchener-Waterloo direct, for what it's worth. The difference between about 167,000 trips and 760,000 trips. So GO expansion is already coming to this region, and I trust that everybody is seeing the benefit of that. The moment that we had last November was a huge one. We are trying to modernize a railroad network that was built by Class 1 freight rail operators. And we are doing everything that we can, not only to acquire rights to offer service on those various lines, but also to build the kinds of infrastructure that will separate freight rail traffic from passenger traffic. So even having the agreement with CN allows us already to offer weekend service and to continue to add trips. What happens now, and you can see the blueprint in the public materials we shared at our last board meeting, is a set of infrastructure investments to unlock incremental service as we go. The very next thing that we will achieve is all-day, 60-minute travel to Kitchener. In order to do that, we've got to build a bypass at the Silver Junction. I've got to create second tracks at Guelph and Acton stations, and we have to finalize the build of Woodbine Station and St. Clair Old West Station, which is on the Kitchener line, and we'll take tracks out of commission as we build it. How long it takes to do that is a function of the partnership that we have with industry. And as a final thought, Ian, I've been privileged to build hospitals and courthouses and transit systems on behalf of this government that has built more than almost anybody else in the continent. It's a reality which we should continue to discuss, that the construction timelines that I'm getting from partners are getting longer and longer. It used to be bog standard that we could build a greenfield hospital in this province in between 4 and 5 years. That number is now 7 or 8. Part of that's capacity, part of that's productivity. So we need to have a conversation with all stakeholders about how to expedite, but it's coming, and it's coming soon.
Well, I think that is one of the issues we talked about earlier today, was the Business Economic Support Team's Vision 1 Million document, the scorecard, because there's lots of parts. We'll talk about transit today, but as you rightfully point out, infrastructure in other ways like healthcare. There's, the scarcity of skilled trades, let alone the capacity to do those things, is a challenge. Minister, the government has been very clear about the commitment of getting people moving and reducing gridlock, whether it's in the GTA, whether it's here. Excuse me. The recent announcement expanding weekend service and the increased frequency, we're seeing, riders can expect to see that it's at least in part being achieved. What's the direction of Michael to because I think the partnership has been, you're seeing the fruits of this. how are you working together to unlock any roadblocks to trying to speed that up? The capacity aside, there's maybe regulatory or other things. What are you doing to try and make sure that we're expediting that? Because everyone is living in hope for that 60-minute trip time that we can say going to a Blue Jay game, going to a Leaf game, or going for a business meeting, and you can get back and forth without even thinking about taking your car.
Yeah, no, I think a great point. One of the things that we can really look to that Michael touched upon was our purchase that we made with CN, that Michael and his team negotiated the 40 kilometers of track. He's mentioned some of the other projects that we need to undertake to get to that exact position of 60 minutes. But I think it's, we've shown as a government a commitment since 2018, 2019 to today. You can talk about the significant increase in amount of trains and trips that we can take from Kitchener to Union Station all across the line. And so for us, it's truly about making sure we have a system that's connected. Now we've got challenges before we purchase that the kilometers of site that Michael was referencing. We have to work with our rail partners. So Michael and his team have to negotiate every single day until we have some of that infrastructure set up on rights for our trains to use passengers to get to and from Union Station. But a part of our plan that we've worked with Michael and his team to do is to see where we can invest in, where we can buy tracks, where we can work with the private sector. We made an incredible announcement in Bowmanville I think last week to mark the official expansion and the groundbreaking of the Bowmanville GO station, which was in partnership with CPKC. So we're working with rail partners all across almost every line. And that helps us enable better service for passengers across the region. But, make no mistake, when I look at the numbers as a minister, when I take, the Kitchener line to the finance minister, to the premier, it's a great story. As Michael said, record ridership along this. I remember the first day we launched weekend service from Kitchener, the excitement of the community here, the locals here, and getting, being able to take that weekend trip into Toronto it's a big deal, and it really changes and it really helps people get comfortable with wanting to even, in some cases move out to the region or move to, anywhere along that line. It gives you the confidence of service being extended, being more reliable, being more consistent. And so we want to continue to work upon that. And this line has been very exciting. It also helps that, a lot of my residents and commuters also use the Kitchener-Waterloo line as well. So it's a win-win.
The Brampton line too.
Yeah,
right?
it's a win-win.
Listen, it's been exciting. For years, we had at this end of the quarter, the all-day or the Connect the Corridor Coalition, which was focused on the connection. And it's important that there's a lot of excitement of getting to that time when we have those peak time 60-minute trips, which will I mean, you're already seeing the demand is there. You provide the service, it will get used. But Michael, maybe talk without going too far down the rabbit hole. But we had the announcement in November saying there are some things that need to be done. So you've got the agreement to purchase part of the CN rail corridor. What are some of the practical operational works that need to be done? So electrifying portions of the track and double tracking. Talk about what that looks like, and then what does a reasonable time frame look to get those things done, given as you say, there are some circumstances like can you get the contractors or some practical parts? But what's your timeline? What do you expect when we'll see those service improvements?
Yeah, so Ian, I would reiterate, it's a known and discrete list, and you can see the map published publicly by Metrolinx, which I think is good. So again, it's a bypass at Silver Junction, it's second tracks at Guelph and Acton Station, it's the completion of Woodbine and St. Clair Old Weston Station closer to Toronto, which is on the Kitchener line, and which will disrupt passenger traffic on the Kitchener line as we build them, because you're building a station on the rail corridor. It's going to take some years. There's no doubt about it. But it's influenced by two key variables. one of which I've mentioned, which is just when we contract to do these works, we finalize the design of most of those things. We're now out tendering for them. What do we get back from construction companies in respect of total timeline? The second key variable, and this gives me an opportunity to say thank you to my boss over here, is what kind of disruption do we have tolerance for? I brought the minister a plan for this year to have 67 major track closures across the GO network. That is 80% more than last year. We do that not for fun, we do that because we need to close tracks in order to create Testing.
Yeah, okay, we're still here.
Sibilance.
Need the
We need to do that in order to create the very assets that we're eventually going to run on, right? That is going to be, I promise you, profoundly disruptive for our riders, right? It means major track closures essentially every other weekend. So that's where the conversation goes next with local partners, with our riders, with government. Once we have a plan in hand, what are we willing to do from a track access perspective? But I am not talking about something that is conceptual and 20 years or 60 years away. I promise you. It all lies before us, and we collectively can influence the variables of how fast this gets delivered.
Okay, Minister, I want to go back to the Central Transit Hub, and because it connects a lot of what's going to animate our region here. Not only does it connect with VIA and more importantly Go service, but it's also going to be the hub for the LRT, and the government is supportive of our LRT Phase 2. There's no way to build 70,000 homes to grow to 1 million people without the LRT being finished. So many of these things are going to have to happen concurrently, not sequentially. So new hospital, the private sector's got to build 70,000 homes, but things like the LRT are required now to get to that point. You can't build the housing without the transit. So talk about the transit hub and the as being not only a transformation for downtown Kitchener, which is good for the community, but how it supports all of the transportation needs, not only here in Waterloo region, but connecting it to Toronto, because it is an important development for what we need here in Waterloo region.
Yeah, and I referenced it in my speech a bit, but you can consider it almost like a mini Union Station in southwestern Ontario. It's really going to truly be transformational from a connectivity perspective. What we've truly aimed to do along all of our transit projects is this concept of connectivity. How do we build that out across the province? So when you have the new station that we're going to be breaking ground on and start to build, and having all of these different transit, whether it be the Via Rail, which is a federally run service, or Go Transit, or the Ion, or the Go buses, or Grand River Transit, all connect in one. It really truly transforms how local, whether it's the locals or others who want to come into the city, can commute, and it makes it easier and it makes it more accessible. And so that's what we've got to continue to build upon across the province. This model of connectivity is making it easier, more accessible for people to get to where they need to go quicker and faster, and making that journey more accessible for individuals. So that station will play a huge role, not only for this region, but more importantly for others who are trying to get into the KW area, or who are looking to commute into the KW area to work, to eventually raise a family, or to just sometimes come down here to have a good time. So we're very cognizant of that across the province, but we're really excited about what this station will mean for the future of transit, not only in just this region, but for the entire province.
So, Michael, as the project moves from, because there's shared, the Metrolinx and the region, there's various players involved. As you move from planning into construction and getting to design, but what are you most excited about in terms of how the hub will change the day-to-day experience? For ultimately, one of your litmus tests is, how do your riders feel about, what does it mean from a ridership perspective?
Yeah, look, interoperability as between services is just an endless good, right? For our riders, for communities. So the things that we're doing across the network, but yes, right here in respect to the transit hub, that make it seamless, easy to switch us between modalities, that takes advantage too of what the government of Ontario, to their credit, has done in fare integration and these sorts of things, is huge. By the way, this is a place where I can be quite specific about timelines. I've never seen a transit project with this kind of private sector interest in it. We had conversations with 8 separate entities and joint ventures about building this. We've shortlisted 4. Bids are coming in this spring. Contract award and construction this year, for what it's worth, right? But Ian, if I could say, the thing that really excites me, and I am an unapologetic transit nerd, is safety and reconfiguration of roadways and the flow of pedestrians and vehicles in a way that will enhance public safety. Quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, we've been having a very regional conversation about rail safety, and it should absolutely continue. And one of the things that we can do to best enhance it is thinking about underpasses and overpasses and bypasses and what we do with Duke Street and all of the rest. So that's the thing that excites me most about the project.
I want to go back, Minister, Highway 7. Honestly, it's been 50, 60 years we've been talking about this. What changed? I mean, because there have been lots of promises from previous administrations dating back for decades. What changed to make sure that, or to allow this project to finally move forward? It's obvious. You take down the bridge over the Frederick Street Bridge. There's lots that's been happening. And what changed to move this up as an important priority? And what's the timeline look like?
Yeah, there's a couple of parts. So we've done Highway 7 in a phased approach, right? So we've done some bridge replacements. We came in with now the Frederick Street Bridge, which was last year that we started to have that conversation to make sure it could be twin laned on both sides and accommodate the future traffic. I would say in October we marked a real milestone where we officially got our permits from the federal government on the Oceries and Fisheries Department, which we had been waiting for quite some time, and a required sign-off with respect to the bridges that we are going to build over the Grand River. And so one of the things that we will mark the big milestone on this project as we move forward in the very near future is our government's is the start of the construction of those bridges. And so, we'll be back here to announce some of those milestones in the very near future, but I can tell you that the work that is ongoing right now with respect to Highway 7 is significant. You're gonna see some tree clearing happening, hopefully in this summer. To help us prepare for some of the early works, the utility relocations that are going to happen to enable the full construction of that project. So, and that is in conjunction with the First Nation here as well. So we're working in collaboration, in conjunction with them to deliver this project. But we're really excited. So it's not a promise, or it's actually going to happen. It's happening. It's going to happen. It's in our capital plan. It's moving forward. We're really excited about it, and it's going to be transformational for this area. As I said, I think that stretch of highway is probably the busiest highway in all of Ontario from a 2-lane perspective that we will then twin out. The amount of people that use it to commute every single day is significant, and so we. Premier Ford made that commitment. We're going to be true to that commitment, and we're going to see some significant progress over the next year or two on marking that and making that and making it so everyone can truly see for their own eyes how much progress we've made on it.
Let's move to the ION LRT Phase 2. I mean, I think it's reached an important milestone with recent regional council approval, and it reflects the strong alignment for the need for rapid transit locally and integrating that with all-day two-way go and sort of that multi-hub approach to moving people both within the region but also externally. Everything you've touched on this, reducing congestion, rapid growth. There is no way for us to grow up without that being accomplished. No, the province has been supportive of that. I think we're getting to the point when an ask is coming, and I put this in context of saying there's a new hospital ask coming, and that's the number one priority for this region. We need that after not having a new hospital for 60 years. But at the same time, we're going to be looking for provincial support and the federal government, because we paid a third of the first phase, because we were the first adopter of that in the province, other than Toronto. So I guess the question I have is the province's supportive of this is when we go and say this could be in the multi-billions of dollars, but it's not really a choice anymore. We have to finish that if we're going to build the housing and have the employment, lands available. How do you see the LRT and fitting into the huge infrastructure program that the region, that the province has?
I'll say maybe I'll start, and then I'll ask Michael to just kind of go high level into how we look at projects in general across the province. I can tell you the first thing, I recognized earlier in my roundtable as well the vision of not only KW but the surrounding municipalities of region in putting forward the LRT to be one of the leaders for a community of this size to jump on that opportunity to invest. As you said, a third from the municipality, and say, hey, let's build this. Let's focus on transit. Let's build this the city up. And today you can see the benefit of that. From the growth that's happened along the line, from the business perspective to the residential, and just the amount of businesses that have been attracted to close proximity of that line. It truly speaks to the success of it. And so when we look at projects, I can tell you one thing, that there's no other government that's invested this much into public transit. And so when Premier Ford looks at a project, when our government looks at a project, we look at the growth of the community, we look at how it will support it. So, I look forward to reviewing that ask when it officially and formally comes forward. And I can say that this government's always committed to building public transit. We'll give it a look. I'm excited to take a look at that. Almost every corner of this province, we've got an LRT project or a transit project happening, whether it be in Hamilton and Peel region between Mississauga and Brampton, in downtown Toronto, or in Etobicoke, Scarborough. And so we look forward to working with KW to not only expand upon GO Transit, but look at this project and see how we can continue to work together to build the transit.
So, Michael, just conscious, I'm getting the evil eye from both the minister's staff and my staff. So we have 5 minutes. So just quick response. Then we've got one more question, then we'll let you go.
I wanted on the record that the evil eye wasn't from me. When
No,
you started
not from
to talk
you.
about
No,
LRTs.
it's not. It's from various people at the back of the room.
We have learned a lot about building LRTs, and I'm delighted to say that Toronto has caught up with Kitchener-Waterloo in the number of LRTs that are in service. The approval allows us to study the question, make recommendations to government, which we're going to do. And I suppose the only note that I'd hit, informed by our recent experiences, it's very important to work with local communities, local business interests, riders, to understand, why are you building an LRT? Is it for capacity and volume? Is it for speed? Is it for economic development? Because that then needs to influence the characteristics of the project, right? And whether it's Finch or Hamilton or anywhere else, those kinds of very precise conversations about what are we solving for, how will we judge the LRT and its performance, is going to be an important next chapter of this conversation.
Okay, last question for the minister. And I'm conscious of the fact that what we've put on the table when we talk about the hospital, we talk about the LRT, is billions of dollars. The government still has, on our way to 1 million people, we have no choice but to make those investments. But the province needs to ensure those transportation investments, whether it's GO, Highway 7, LRT, GO bus service, to support growth. But you also got to keep costs under control, and you got to make choices. Why are some of those choices going to be here in Waterloo region? I mean, is it again the economic imperative of having this region connected with Toronto?
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the province in general, and you see the growth that is happening here, I think there's a huge case to be made from an economic perspective. You've got some of the largest tech companies, largest companies that have set up here, the ecosystem that exists here, from supporting their tech sector to enabling significant investments to happen, to training. You got two of the largest, probably two of the best academic institutions here that are known across the world for, not only in Waterloo, the engineering and computer programming to Laurier's business program. We've got some incredible talent that is produced from the KW area. So there's so much going for this area, and that's why you've seen such significant investments. You can talk about from the 401 to the expansion of the 401 to the emphasis that we have on GO Transit investments, increasing the reliability of that, the amount of trips that we've increased, then to other projects, whether it's the new station that we're building, and many of my other colleagues that will invest in the hospital, to housing, to other projects. So this is a key focus, not only from the government, but for the broader growth of this province. It makes a significant, I would say, sense to do that, and we look forward to continuing to build upon that as we invest over the next 10 to 15, 20 years.
Listen, we're almost out of time. The first time we met, I think you were Minister of Red Tape Reduction and Small Business. With Jan De Silva and I came and paid a call on you, and you've been a big supporter of this region all the way through Treasury Board, now into transportation. Want to thank both of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come here, and you're always welcome on this podium, and when you've got good news to share, we'll all be there to cheer you on. But just as we leave and then let you get on your way and finish up the morning, what would you want to leave? What's the message that you'd leave the community with? And I'll start with the minister and then go to you, Michael. What's the message you want to leave from this morning?
The message that I truly leave is, I think what's happening here in KW is incredible, and this government is going to be here to support you every step of the way, from transit to highways to housing to helping support the growth of this community. We proudly tell the story of KW and the success it has had from not only from the innovation side, but what we've been able to accomplish over the last 10 years. We tell that story to the world. I often hear the Premier reference it when he's making pitches to companies about the University of Waterloo, Laurier, Conestoga, and many of other institutions that are here in the KW area. So we're very, very proud of this region. We highlight it across on a global stage. And so we look forward to continuing to be back here to make more announcements and more investments and to continue to build up this region. I do want to end, but actually I realized I didn't get a chance to shout out Aislinn Clancy, who was here, who was in opposition MP. I think she might have left, but it's always she always holds her feet to the fire in the House. So I always appreciate, even though we're not aligned on our parties per se, I always say public transit is as non-partisan as an issue as we should get to. So I've always enjoyed working with her, but more importantly, our team here in KW, from Minister Harris, Brian Rudell, and especially Jess, who is really focused in on the GO Transit side of it and really wanted to see the development of this city. So you have great local advocates that are championing this region in Queen's Park, and it's always been a pleasure to work with Jess and the team here as well.
Michael.
The minister gave you the mic drop. I should be very, very brief. In a sentence, I think Metrolinx has considered itself a construction company for too long. We are an operating transit agency. I care as much to know the feedback of this region about the quality and the timeliness of our service as anything else. So please, I would love a future opportunity to come back and talk not only about what we're building, but how it's going and how we're serving you.
You don't have to ask twice. You're all both welcome, and we'll have you both as guests separately this time on Business to Business on 570 News Radio, and it airs Sundays at noon. So we'll coming to a future episode near you. Listen, we're going to let you exit the stage. I know you both have places to go this morning. Thank you so much for making it down today, and then we're going to finish up with our last conversation. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that. Good. Leave that on the seat. Thanks. We'll be in touch. We'd love you to come on.
So great discussion, and thanks once again to Michael and the minister for making their way down to this part of the world. It's great discussion, but we're not done yet. We're going to keep up the momentum and dive straight into our next conversation. This morning, we're also joined by Karina Moore, Executive Vice President of Transportation and Infrastructure at WSP Canada. She currently leads over 3,000 employees, including scientists, advisors, and engineers in road infrastructure, water, rail, and transit, land development, aviation, planning, ports and planning, and more. Before joining WSP 2 years ago, she spent a decade in engineering and telecom and 17 years in transportation with Ontario Northland. She held senior roles there, including CEO, COO, and President and CEO, providing essential rail, freight, passenger, and motor coach services. Karina transformed Ontario Northland into a customer-focused, financially strong organization and built meaningful partnerships with First Nations. She holds many achievements, including multiple degrees, an honorary doctorate, being the first woman president of a Canadian railway, and being named as one of Canada's most powerful CEOs by Women's Executive Network, and many more. Please join me in welcoming Karina Moore.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and a great, we had a discussion earlier. I know you were a big fan of and exciting and celebrating the, I guess the restarting of Ontario Northland service up north recently, so that must be close to your heart. So tell us about WSP first, for those that aren't familiar with the company, because it's a big outfit, but maybe one that a lot of people are not familiar with.
I do feel like it's the best kept secret in, well, the globe. We're the largest engineering firm in the world and largest in Canada. And one of the things that's really important to us, we have a couple of offices here, we have hundreds of offices across the country, is understanding the culture and the nature of the focus for that community. And I think that that's kind of what you heard from the minister and Michael about planning and really being involved at the onset. We're proud to be part of this community and what we've done on Ion Stage 1. Can't wait for Ion Stage 2, as you can't. And Highway 7 and the transit hub. We've done cycling growth networks in this community. I actually feel like it's kind of a homecoming because I'm a U of W grad, and my daughter was born 21 years ago at Grand River here in the community, and it's astounding to see coming back here how it's changed since I went to university here and the impact of transit. And I think, I'll reiterate what Michael has said and the minister about interconnections and intermodes, right? If you can create and inspire a community that has that hub that really allows people to connect to transit, work, and live, work, and play really efficiently, I think that you've got it right. And I commend you, Ian. I mean, having this vision and talking about the future is what's going to make you successful. And it's, I think, why this community has attracted so many residents. I mean, 70,000 houses in the next 25 years. I wish that I kept the house that I lived in and owned, and I didn't sell it 20 years ago. I would be a lot better off right now.
Well, it's certainly fast growing, and there's a lot of reasons for people to want to come here. So but having the infrastructure to, we say it's Vision 1 Million. It's really the are we ready, and are we ready to be a successful community? And infrastructure is a big part of that. So in the discussion with Minister Sarkaria and Mr. Lindsay, we heard about the multi-billion infrastructure investments in both transit, transportation, whether it's 401, Highway 7, all-day two-way go. There's a whole range of things, and we know others will come, like LRT Phase 2. But beyond spending the money and building the things, what else do we need to consider when we talk about the infrastructure needs? Because it's not to do it for, to say you've got it done. What's infrastructure? Put that in perspective for how it actually translates for a community.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can't be remiss about thinking about the plan, and that's why we're so happy to have been involved with the planning of all these major infrastructure projects in this region by WSP. But it's because, the engagement part is so important. It provides this shared responsibility of all the people in this room and all the businesses to have great outcomes. And, I think sometimes it's overlooked, the impact of planning. And, a friend of mine comments, and she calls it the excavator syndrome, where I don't know how many of you, but my husband will hop on an excavator any chance, and he won't plan ahead, and things will come down, and there's no future thinking. And so, that's a small scale issue, but it relates to how we look at transit planning, and that we have to be thoughtful and we have to plan for 25 years from now. What does electrification look like? What's the technology? How do we create resilient water solutions? What's the modeling that we can do so that we make the right decisions up front for taxpayer dollars, right? So I think the notion that this community and the businesses and the residents have come together to look at what that future plan looks like will allow you to and allow us as designers to create something that's going to serve you for that period of time, so that when you're done the design and construction, you're not behind already. And so I think that, that's one of the things that I think, you look at these engineering firms and constructors, and does it matter to you that we're in 3/4 of the municipalities across Canada? The reason it matters is because we can bring lessons learned. What are other people doing around the country? What are they doing around the globe? How do we bring those lessons to this community so that we build something that makes sense and we integrate technology thinking into the upfront planning? And so I think it's, you've heard it from the minister, planning, and I think I commend this government, and I saw this at Ontario Northland when I was running the railway, to bring back investment in planning and design, because if you plan correctly, you'll save so much in the future. And just one more thing on that, I think, and maybe some of the people in the room are familiar with this, but collaborative procurement, and we had the opportunity to talk to the minister before this in the roundtable, is really something important, and it's relatively new in this country. We're leading the Union Station Enhancement Project with our constructing partners in Toronto, and we want to bring those lessons to the hub that you're doing here, because when you have the designers and you have the planners and you have the constructors and you have a collaborative client like Metrolinx who will make decisions so that you can design better up front, the risks are reduced, the costs are reduced, the implications of constructability are better when you get down to that point. So I think it's really great that the government is investing and that you're taking this and planning appropriately.
Well, I couldn't echo that more. I always live in fear of a bureaucrat in Queen's Park in a windowless office trying to tell the private sector how to actually get things done. There's a role. There has to be a role for both parts. Yeah. Listen, technology is on the top of everyone's mind, whether it's for business and take your pick, but AI is running through people's head, but not just AI, the role of technology and what it's playing in modern infrastructure development. Talk a little bit about how WSP is seeing infrastructure impacting the work that you do in delivering projects for public infrastructure.
It's the largest enabler of transportation's networks, right? If we're not looking at technology and how we do things, even up front in the planning stages. I mean, we talk to lots of municipalities who do asset management in an Excel spreadsheet, and it's the way they've been doing it for the last 30 years. And I think, we all have to take a moment and look at the technology that we should put in place so that we can make data-driven decisions. And it's always a buzzword, right? We're making data-driven decisions, but I think people need to look at their asset management systems and use that as part of the plan, so that when you integrate technology, we've done BIM, digital twins are key. You should see what's going on in the Union Station enhancement. When you go down there and you can look at the digital implications of what we're doing. You can see clash detections ahead of time, so that when you're doing the constructability of the HVAC, you see the issues up front so that you can change it before it's a huge cost. You can model things so that you can get people, users, passengers to take a look at what's going to be constructed and comment on it, so that the engagement is there, so that we're actually designing and constructing something that's usable for the passengers. So I think, technology has to be part of the planning, because when you implement things in the future, you'll put it into that asset management system and you'll be able to have predictive maintenance. You'll proactively look at the way you do things. And you talked about AI. We have the Chief Innovation Officer at WSP who used to be the lead technology person at the City of Kelowna. And the stories that he brings us and what he's bringing to our municipalities through AI is it's unreal, right? It's about the resident experience. And I'll give you an example. We're doing AI permitting, right? Housing is a huge crisis in all these communities, and how can we make it so that people who are trying to build housing, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's their own house, faster, right? He got permitting down to 3 days instead of 4 weeks. And some communities, it's a lot longer than that. So using technology and AI to disrupt the way we do housing is, I think, number one. I think the other part is, automating how the interaction with residents and communities happen. For example, people call all the time and say, when is my road going to be plowed, right? So if we have, and that's what we do at WSP, is this AI ability to interact with residents. In the first year that they did it, they had 17,000 responses automated, and the second year was 140,000. So all of that time away from the people answering the phones allows them to do what their subject matter experts are, instead of answering, an angry resident who wants an answer to a situation. If we can automate that, and the automation is endless. That's the unique part about AI, right? Once you set up these bots and the things that the municipality cares about, it's an elastic. It ebbs and flows regardless of how many residents are calling in.
So 100 years ago, when I was on city council in Waterloo, we really didn't have a good handle on our infrastructure renewal. And so that is fairly recent, where you really took a look at what your infrastructure is and sort of having a plan. And so so having data that impacts the core infrastructure, making sure you're doing that in good time, because we see the impacts all across the province of when important, critical, mission critical infrastructure goes down or there's mistakes made, it has real world impacts on business and communities. Listen, we talked this morning a lot about transportation, and there's the focus is in the transportation sector is electrifying and electrification of everything, and I think that there's a general consensus on that. But what do we need to build now? Or what flexibility do we need to build now to be ready for the day when this electrification is taking place? When you have full, LRTs electrified, GO Transit's electrified, there's going to be more transportation, individual transportation. It's all going to move to that electrification. What do we have to do now to be prepared for it?
Well, I don't want to keep saying the same thing, but it does start with planning in every regard. And I think, power is a big thing, obviously, with the electrification, but also building for 1 million people in this region and the power that's required with that, and on top of the transportation network, on top of the hospital requirements, on top of the data centers that you're attracting globally. It requires a power network, but I think the thing to realize is that this will be a gradual implementation. So what's really is important is when you're doing the planning, to plan around electrification. And if Michael were still here, he would tell you that it's a mandate of his that when we're designing things for Metrolinx, we design with the forward thinking of electrification. It has to be. And it's, we talk about technology, it's another data point. And if you don't think about electrification as part of the ecosystem, you'll get it wrong, right? It's not a standalone, let's electrify this fleet. It's about operationalizing that. So what are the new skills that we need for the people that are going to be operating? What do the mechanics need to know? What buildings, and we look at transit hubs and electrification, this is all about a data point, right? And so that it goes back into that asset management system, and we can make smart decisions of how we increase our transit capability.
There's people waving at me from the back of the room, so we're going to do one more question, then we're going to wrap up.
Yeah.
You touched on this in the previous answer, but so what actions do we need to take now as a region so we have the skilled workforce? Because you talked about all the things that are requiring of the new skills. If electrification, what is that going to mean? Talk about the skilled workforce that you see from WSP's perspective, that to be able to actually accomplish all the infrastructure work that we have in mind and needs to be done in the next 20 to 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you are very lucky in this region because you have such a great pipeline of talent from Conestoga and Waterloo and Laurier. But I think having a very good connection with the private sector and I had a great conversation with one of the women previously about our planning and the planning that comes out of U of W. Is it providing what we need so that these new grads can hit the ground running with the requirements, because the planning requirement has evolved to technology-based planning and that forward-looking piece. So I think creating a destination, which, I mean, I know I'm a little bit biased because I lived here for 15 years, but this community is hard to beat, right? It really, it has, you know, it has lakes, it has nature, and it has a quick route down to this huge metropolitan center. So you can live and work and play and do the things you want to do efficiently and effectively, and it's a real destination that you've created here. So I think we all have to work together because it's morphed in what these skills look like. And I think sometimes we all fall into that trap of we've always done it this way, and this is what a new grad of engineering looks like. And I'll just take 2 seconds on engineering as well. I think we have a role to play because, as probably anyone knows who works in engineering and who's in the education system, is lots of engineers are leaving engineering. They're graduating and they're going into management of some sort, and they're not staying in their field of discipline. And so we need to work together because, I mean, you know, WSP, we have 13,000 people across Canada. The majority of them are engineers. How do we keep people in their field and keep them engaged and make sure that they're learning the technology that they need to learn and the management skills? Because it's about people, right? It's about collaboration. That's a new thing. It's not about designing and throwing it over the wall to the constructor. If we collaborate together, we're going to be more efficient in the way we do things together.
Listen, just hang tight. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to wrap up this morning's event. Really appreciate your perspective and letting us know about how WSP is not only working in the region of Waterloo, but across Ontario, right throughout Canada. Listen, I want to thank our incredible sponsors once again as we wrap up this morning. These organizations are committed to investing in the future of Waterloo. We appreciate their ongoing partnership and sponsorship. To our title sponsor, our good friends at Conestoga College Institute of Technology and Advanced Learning. Our gold sponsor, Employ Next, powered by Serco Canada. Silver sponsor, our friends at Gore Mutual. Bronze sponsor, EY, TD, and WSP. Our community partners, Cornerstone Association of Realtors, Explore Waterloo Region, the Future Cities Institute, founded by Kaiven, the Immigration Partnership of Waterloo Region, North Guide, Schlegel Urban Developments, and Waterloo EDC. Our production sponsor, Good Co-Productions, our photography sponsor, Kinsella Marketing, and our host venue partners, our friends at Binghamans and Communitech, for welcoming us today to the Tannery event space. Please join me in thanking these incredible sponsors one more time. We do have one more event in the Vision 1 Million Are We Ready series before the summer, and it'll be focused on talent. Details will be announced soon, so keep an eye on our website for all events and programs that are going on at the Chamber at greaterkwchamber.com. I think above here, is this the... I don't know. I thought we had something on physician recruitment, but it's not there. But I do encourage you to check out our website and the great work that our chamber does in recruiting family physicians. This is a special year as we turn 140 years old. We're looking for those in the community to help support even more efforts in terms of bringing the family physician talent that we need here in Waterloo Region. Before I let you go, I do want to, we've done that. Ensuring that we have the talent in place for family physicians is really important for our community as we grow, along with the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure. Thank you all for being here this morning, for your continued support of the Chamber, and we'll look forward to seeing you at a future event. Enjoy the rest of your day.